Hi guys. One of the things that we believe in is that a disciple is someone who has a healthy, intimate, passionate, growing relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, to have that, we have to have some form of belief that Jesus Christ does exist and is real, or else you can't have a relationship with a God who doesn't exist. Now, part of the challenge of this is that we are trying to develop a healthy, intimate, passionate, growing relationship with the invisible God. And so one of the things that we need to do is understand biblical faith is not blind faith or hoping something exists without evidence. Biblical faith is actually believing in something because of the evidence. An example is that you get on an airplane and you don't normally check and say, can I see the pilot's credentials? I want to make sure that he's actually a real pilot, able to fly. You have faith that Delta has done their job, American Airlines has done their job, Southwest has done their job, whoever you're flying with. You have faith based on evidence of past experiences that they have trained and certified their pilots. Another example is you're driving down the highway. Your assumption, based on historical past, is faith that the person coming towards me is going to stay over in their lane of traffic. We all live every day with elements of faith in our life. The question is belief in God a reasonable thing to put our faith in? One of the evidences for God is from the argument for design. It's called the teleological argument, the evidence for design. And I want to look at just one place or one piece of evidence from the teleological argument, although there's many we could look at. What I want to look at is DNA. Now, in 1953, scientists discovered and began mapping the DNA of the human body. And what they found was that it's a 4-character digital map or wording process that makes what our nose is, makes what our ears is, our eyes is, makes us distinct from other creatures, makes us distinct from each other, and defines who we are. All right? The DNA is structured, and they use the letters A, C, T, and G. And these chemicals define other parts of who we are and what we are doing. Now, the DNA is diverse. And what you discover is that within each DNA, molecule or complex is enough information to fill an entire encyclopedia worth of volumes. So from the encyclopedia, some of you remember when we used to read the encyclopedia, you could look up a word and then it would have all kinds of information on that, and you could look it up alphabetized from A to Z. Now, the point is this, is that when we look at the DNA molecule, we have to go, hey, there is this much of information that makes sense, and us then, as the person it's designed, then we have to go, there seems to be an intelligent designer behind the DNA molecule. All right. Stephen C. Meyer says this: as it turns out, specific regions of the DNA molecule, called the coding regions, have the same property of sequence specificity or specified complexity that characterize written codes, linguistic text, and protein molecules. Now, the point is this: you and I wouldn't walk upon a newspaper sitting out in the yard and go, I bet this randomly happened by chance. These ink jumped on this paper form here, and the paper form was formed by accident. And then look, I can read the words. It must be accidental. It must be by mere coincidence. It must be by an evolutionary process. You and I would look at that and go, I bet there was someone who wrote this paper, who designed the paper, who designed the substance that the paper goes on, designed the ink that is on the paper. And so all we're doing is we're saying, hey, the DNA molecule is evidence for a designer. When we look at it, we go, there must be someone behind this that has put this together in an intelligible form, and that is evidence for God. Now, Romans 1:20 says, "For since the beginning of creation, the world's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse to believe in God." Now, does this prove God exists? No, it doesn't prove God exists. It gives us evidence that God exists based on the design in nature, and in this case, in the human body, specifically the DNA code. There's many more places that we could look to for the fine-tuning of the universe and other places that we could go. This is evidence for God's existence. The Christian faith, the biblical faith, is not without a leap of faith, but neither is any other worldview. Every other worldview has to look at the evidence and go, this is how I explain reality. What I believe is that the Christian worldview, based on Scripture, is the most logical, coherent, and unified way to explain reality and the existence of all things, and, in the case of the teleological argument, the evidence for design that we see in all of creation. I hope that this makes you question. I hope that this makes you go, yeah, how did we get such logical written code in the human body without there being a God who supervised it and designed it that way? And I hope that this enhances your faith and gives you one more place to stand on as you begin to say, I want to have a healthy, intimate, passionate, growing relationship with Jesus. This is one argument that's helped me stand on my faith that God does exist and is indeed still in charge of the world. Have a good day, guys.